All right, welcome, pack mates. My name is Sammy Engel Price. I am here just hosting our good friend Jules Scores from Nehmedia. She's going to tell us all about Google isn't enough anymore and her marketing expertise. Nehmedia has been a wonderful partner of PAC in supporting us in all marketing endeavors. And we are very thankful to have her here today and to have her support as always. And we're very looking forward to her presentation today. Thank you for being here, Jules.
Yes, thank you. Thank you guys for having me. I'm super excited to get started. So yes, I'm the marketing director here at New Media, also known as Pet Resort Marketing. But been here for about 2.5 years. I have a little bit of pet experience before that, working for like a CBD treat company, but it's been so exciting the last few years, kind of working with pet resorts and everything. So just learning the ins and outs. You guys are kind of my favorite industry that I've worked in throughout the years. So let's get started. Oh, no, I went backwards. There we go. Okay, just to kind of go over thing one, I do have 5 dogs. They will show up through through the presentation with funny pictures. So we have Boris right here. He's our English Bulldog Rescue. But does some of this sound familiar? Google ad costs, keep climbing. Leads have slowed down for, a lot of our pet resorts, for Google ads. You're doing everything right, but growth right now has hit a plateau, and competitors are popping up everywhere, unfortunately. So you're not alone if you feel some of these things or all of these things. It's not your fault. It's just kind of how, paid media has transitioned in the last year. So right now, well, we have Joker to the left, and he wanted to tell you about how 40% of Gen Z and millennials now use Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as their primary search engine. So instead of them going to Google and asking dog boarding near me, they're now able to do this on like Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and not Google. Mostly because a lot of these people don't want to end up leaving the platforms that they're already scrolling through, and they're looking for local information. And I'm sure you guys have seen, especially on the Facebook side, they have the AI, kind of overview just like Google does. So now it's becoming more and more of a search engine. So if you're only showing up in Google, you're missing half of your potential customers because they're not even going over to Google anymore, or they use Google as a last resort. So let's kind of go over what Google Ads is doing. So Google Ads alone is capturing existing demand. So it, waits for people to search, like I said, dog boarding near me. You're missing out on about 40% of the market because, they're using other social media areas and paid ad areas to look this up. You know, there's no relationship or nurturing before the sale. So these are people that are specifically already looking to solve a problem. But what you want to use is a multi-channel funnel, as we say, which creates and captures demand. So you want to reach those people before they search and before they need. You want to build that brand awareness, that education, that trust, so that when they do come to an extent where a portion of a part of their lives where they need a boarding or a daycare or a groomer or training, you're already been top of mind because you've been showing up, on their social media feed, whether organically or paid ads over the last few months. It builds trust across platforms. So let's say they've seen you before on social media. They don't always remember your name. They go to Google and start Googling things near me. And then all of a sudden it's that refresher of, oh, I remember seeing, some ads, some things about the resort on different platforms. It nurtures your leads over time, with a lot of competition and, people doing a lot of research for pet resorts because, as we know, a lot of the Gen Z and millennials, their dogs are their children, just like me, they're my children. So I want to make sure that, I trust whoever's doing this. So that kind of nurture over time builds that trust and that education on your pet resorts. Also, it closes with a higher conversion rate. So when you have this multi-channel funnel and you're able to lead them from that, awareness down to conversion, you have a 30% higher conversion rate and your cost per lead will drop because Google is going to be a higher cost per lead, where like places like Meta, just Facebook, Instagram for paid ads is going to be a little bit lower. It's just the nature of the platform. So, okay, myths that are costing you money. So, I'm going to start with the myth in my house, which is a dog crate is not a bunk bed. But in my house, a dog crate is a bunk bed. So, that's Xena on the top and her Beagle brothers underneath. But some other myths when you're talking about, kind of paid ads is social media doesn't work for local businesses. Again, this is false. Social media is the best place for any sort of local business, especially pet resorts. Again, 40% of pet parents are now searching you on these social media platforms. Another myth is I just need to add more Google Ads budget. So a lot of people, when they see things plateau or a dip, they're thinking I need to spend more money to, get in front of more people. But what you really should be doing is taking that budget and going to things like meta paid ads. So that's because right now on Google, you're spending more without warming up the audience, so you're actually paying more for, not as good results. When you warm them up in different areas, by the time they get to Google, they already know who you are. They're looking for your intent to book. Another myth is about the website. So my website's fine. It's been the same for 5 years, and we come across this a lot. So a lot of things, especially with how the world has changed in the last year with AI platforms, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and those kind of searches, your website needs to be optimized for AI to pick it up and recommend you when people are using those platforms also, and searching. And we'll kind of go over a little bit more of that later on. The other thing is, sometimes sites that were built a few years ago may not be completely optimized to mobile. And about 70% of people are looking at things on their phone. So if they're not optimized so that it's easy to fill out a form, it's easy to zoom in and out and all that kind of stuff, you could be losing 70% of your traffic off rip for your website. So here's kind of the modern customer journey right now. So pet parents need at least 3 to 5 touch points before booking. So, the first one's usually social media. They might even see you a couple of times, maybe across some different platforms. The next would be your website. So they're going to go there to kind of browse services, get your information. Your website needs to be more than just a brochure that lists out stuff. It needs to state why you're different than anybody else. Maybe you have a water feature, maybe you have, some cool, climbing things that the dogs can do. We have some resorts that have like TVs and couches for the dogs to be on. Those are the things that you want to make sure that you relay in your website. So when they get there, they understand why they should choose you over anybody else. So third touch point would be retargeting. So this would come into either paid social media or again, some search retargeting. So you would be specifically coming up in front of people that have already visited your website but haven't booked yet. So again, this is just nurturing them as they go through the journey of when they're going to get ready to book. Google is usually about the first search, first fourth touch point. And that's when they're Google searching. So they're already ready. They pretty much decided they're going with you. They're just looking you up to get to your website to do that booking or maybe a little bit information. And then the last touch point is when they convert on your website. So if you're only running Google Ads, you're only showing up at step 4. And, if your competitors are, working on their organic social, have updated their website, are running, paid social ads, they're getting in front of everyone before anybody would even find you on search. So you definitely need to kind of nurture and warm up your customers. Yeah. So here's kind of the breakdown of the actual, basic 3-layer marketing funnel. So again, top is going to be your awareness. You're getting in front of new clients. So these are people that have no idea that you even exist. You're still going to get maybe some existing clients that will see some stuff, but really it's the new clients that you want to get in front of to bring in that new fresh audience. There's people who recently adopted a dog, just got a puppy, any of that kind of stuff. So the kind of areas that you want to concentrate there is your meta brand awareness ads, your organic social, again, your website, and then your Google business profile. And what you want to show there is, again, that education, that trust. You do that with like videos on organic social and paid. You have the carousel ads where it's multiple ads that you can scroll through, or multiple, sorry, images that you can scroll through. Educational content. Again, talking about why you should be, what makes you different from everybody else. Some things that people miss is like making sure to show pictures and videos that include your staff. So it's showing the trust. It's not just happy dogs running around and looking great. You're actually showing staff interacting with them. So that builds that trust, with your, prospects on, the staff is there, they're interacting, they're not just like standing in a corner on their phone, sort of thing. And then the other way is blogs. So blogs are great. You post them onto your website talking about right now. I know the big thing here in Texas is don't walk your dogs on the hot sidewalk. So the whole thing about that is, well, if you can't bring your dogs outside in the hot sidewalk, where would they go? Well, to a pet resort for the day where they can run around and be monitored and that kind of stuff. So these are great blogs that kind of educate people on what you're doing, and then you can repost them or post them on your organic social. You can make paid ads about them, kind of build that nurture and explain to people why they should pick you. Next, we go into the middle of the funnel, which is the consideration stage. So this is when they're probably have researched a couple of different pet resorts and they're trying to decide, which one will work for them. So this is where you re-engage and retarget prospects who haven't already booked with you. And the way to do that is you can, do boosted meta ads. So if you have some organic content that's great and educational and getting some traction, you can go in and just boost them for a few days to get a little bit more lift and in front of, people that are deciding whether they want to go with you. And then Meta has also like traffic and retargeting ads. These are ones that you can, again, retarget people who have visited your website, targeted people that have interacted with your social media, have just engaged on those platforms, and you can retarget them to get them back to your website, to hopefully get them to convert and kind of still, again, nurture and build that relationship. And then there's your website where you're always sending everybody to. Again, organic social, same thing. Try to get in front of people. There's this great section in Meta Business Suite, when you open it up, which is just like your main kind of organic insights page for your organic social. And if you scroll down, it will say invite people who have interacted with our posts. There's a lot of people that will interact with your posts but don't necessarily follow you. So your organic social isn't naturally coming up in their feed, but maybe did, like, we all see the ones that say like pops up like, do you want to follow this specific page? Always go in there and invite anybody that's interacted. That's how you can build your organic presence, and also just get in front of, those customers that obviously were, engaging with your content. Then you start adding in kind of the Google display ads, and the Google display ads are specifically retargeting ads. So again, it's retargeting those people that have visited the website, that have engaged, maybe searched you in the past, and just getting in front of them once again. The perfect kind of content to put out for this consideration is testimonials. People trust their neighbors, the people that live in their town, on, when they say like, hey, my dog really enjoyed A, B, and C over at Happy Paws. So this just kind of, builds up that trust with your client. All you have to do is find a couple of your great clients that have been there for a few years, pop out your phone, take a quick video of what they love about there, or if they don't want to be on video, just get a quote from them, make a little graphic. And like I said, you can post them on your social media. You can kind of boost those. You can make them into ads, but those very much resonate with people. This is also when you want to kind of do those special offers. especially with paid ads, like if you have a de-shedding, offer coming up for your grooming for, July because it's hot, summertime, and, that's what we need to do, or nail trims, or even just 10% off your first day, for boarding or daycare. This is where you want to push them to these retargeting audiences because they already know who you are, and maybe that will push them to book. Next is just, understanding the seasonality and speaking to that. We all know, the busier seasons, stuff like that. You can create posts and ads around FOMO of like, we're filling up quick for the summer, or we're filling, book now for, Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's wild to think about that, but we already have customers that we're working on ads to launch, in the next month or so for the holidays so they can get in front of their competitors sooner. So, and again, like I was saying, that urgent messaging, which is like kind of that FOMO portion. So then we move to, where they actually converting. So this is where you capture those high intent searches when they say dog boarding near me or anything like that. And they're ready to book. They've figured out their vacation. This is the last little bit. They need to know where Fido is going to be while they're, traveling around Spain or wherever they want to go. So this is where your Google search ads come in. So again, when we're saying that Google isn't enough, by the time, they get to the Googling portion, they're already at the bottom of the funnel and they're probably not searching for you, or you might not be the top of mind brand if you haven't already kind of done that awareness and that consideration phase. Again, to Google search, organic social is still always a big part because people want to go over there, make sure that you have posts on there. They want to see, again, staff with them. It just kind of eases their mind to go, okay, this is definitely who we want to book with. One of the other things that I think a lot of pet resorts sleep on when they think paid ads is there's these Meta lead gen ads. Years ago, when Meta released them, they were very spammy, and you're getting a lot of junk that comes through them. So, like, a lot of people really just didn't want to go those routes. Well, Meta in the last, I want to say, 18 months, 12 to 18 months, kind of redone how those ads work. And so Meta lead gen ads specifically target people that are more likely to convert when they go to your website. So again, it's probably people who've already interacted with you, have shown interest. Meta has seen that they've touched your ads or seen your ads a couple of times, and has a higher conversion rate. Years ago, Meta was only there for brand awareness and not conversion. Now we're seeing this more conversion style and more actual like leads and form fills coming directly from Meta. And then last, of course, is your website because that's where they're going to either fill out the form or find your information to call. So again, that's very important to have that optimized properly. So yeah, this is where you have your kind of buyer intent keywords, again, like dog boarding near me, pet care near me. This is where you really want to push your services, versus like, kind of that educational content where it was higher up. This is where you're specifically saying, come book with us. And then, it's always good to make sure you optimize any landing page that you're sending them to. You don't want to be sending all like your ads or even your organic social straight to just the homepage. When the ad or your social post spoke about boarding, send them right to your boarding page. That's what they're looking for. They don't want to have to click around your site to find the information that they wanted. And just make sure that your landing page is optimized where there's, your CTA. Your call to action is at the top and visible. They don't have to scroll too deep to find information. We like to put pricing on the website, even if it's starting at, and then put it, a number. I know a lot of resorts go back and forth on whether they want to put pricing on there. But nowadays, I mean, I can tell you personally that if I was looking something up and it didn't tell me how much it was, I'm on to the next. So it's definitely, in this digital world, an important thing to add. But yeah, once you have these three layers kind of working together, you're not only capturing demand, but you're also creating it with the top of funnel. The data doesn't lie. So when you have a multi-channel strategy, consistency outperforms any single channel. So again, we were talking about it's a 30% higher conversion rate because you had that nurturing from the top, from the brand awareness all the way down to converting. versus just a single channel. You know, if you're just doing meta, you're only hitting that top of funnel and, may not be able to capture them once they're ready to convert, with Google paid ads, and then vice versa. If you're not getting in front of them at the very beginning, it's harder to capture them down funnel when they're ready to book. So you do see a lower cost per lead, because you're warming up this audience, they're more likely to convert, so kind of cost per lead starts going down. And then, you have a higher rate of retargeting people. So again, it's warm versus cold. If they're only seeing you for the first time, they're probably not going to convert. But if they see you multiple times, they're 3 to 5 times more likely to convert. So, and that's why customers who see your brand on social media and Google end up trusting you more. So you want that repetition. It builds the credibility. Here's just like a quick case study. I won't go through all this, and you guys will get the deck and the recording after the call. But so we did a lot of testing in 2025, and we had a client that, you know, m most of their money, was in Google Ads. They were doing a little bit on paid media, but they really just didn't feel like that's where, conversions were coming from. And again, people are going to convert at the bottom of the funnel, and that's more likely going to be on Google Ads, but they were really wanting to get new clients in. So I was like, well, you're going to find your new clients on a different platform. So we moved some of their Google ad spend over to Meta. So we didn't have to increase their budget. We just kind of took an overview to look at, how we could kind of move budget without, Google really dropping. So we managed to spend, and we're able to kind of reverse a multi-year decline in new customer growth. So you can see right here, like in January, they had like a small budget. It was about $700. And then we started increasing it going through the rest of the year. And so the conversions, which we were able to track. So these were form filled conversions. So they submitted, a form on their website, um, ended up jumping from 17. And as you can see, when, February 33, 58, 89, 94, that was their big in May. That's when the summertime was kicking off. It kind of, plateaued or lowered a little bit throughout the summer, which is what we see, a lot of times anyway. But this is what was the make or break on whether they were going to be flat that year or if they were going to increase revenue, and they ended up increasing revenue. So yeah, they saw a revenue growth of almost 4%. Again, it just improved month over month. We originally had started, we started small. We did the brand awareness campaigns, traffic, and then, when you saw that big kind of uptick where it got into the 90s was when we brought in those lead gen ads. So targeting people that specifically were going to convert. So this was just, we did our own personal case study with one of our clients, and we have now shifted, I want to say, a majority of our clients, as long as budget allows, because I know that's always an issue, to at least be running a small meta campaign. You can run a very strong meta ads campaign with only about $300, $400, and you'll see growth. So luckily Meta, because the cost per conversion is lower, doesn't need as big as a budget as Google Ads. We usually say we recommend doing a 30-70 split. 30% towards Meta and then 70% towards Google, because it is that lower funnel and is where you're actually, capturing a lot of the conversions. So, okay, so now we're going to talk about why your website matters. So, your website is your digital front door. It's besides maybe seeing a little things on, organic, social media, or even some paid ads, or maybe they did Google it. Once they get to your website, this is where all the information is going to be on whether they're going to decide to go with you. So again, it needs to be mobile friendly, as 70% of the traffic is coming from mobile. I know we've all been there. We've had to turn our phone multiple times because we're on a page that won't let us see the whole form or anything like that. I personally give up at that point. And so the other thing, with AI and everything changing is SEO optimizations. So, everybody's always asking, how do we get found in those AI searches? And a lot of that is going to go back to your website and your SEO. So there's a new thing that AI uses, and it's called EEAT. So it's experience, expertise, authoritative, trustworthy. And if you have all of those things on your website and formatted in an easy way for AI to use, you'll be more likely to show up in AI searches. I tell everybody all the time and they laugh. AI is inherently lazy. It is going to find the easiest website to scan for the information that you're looking for because it's not going to waste its time digging through a site that it can't find that information quickly. So if you have your website easily readable for AI and optimized, you're more likely to show up in your Chat GPT, your Claude, your Gemini. So one of the examples we have here is a screenshot from one of our clients' websites. So they are PAC certified, and so they have their badge and a short blurb on their website, and they have like a certificate area or professional care area on their website. So this is building that trustworthiness. This is the stuff that AI wants to see. They're more likely to recommend someone who has these certifications and talks about these things to a pet parent than someone who doesn't, because this is what pet parents want to say. So, so make sure you have your PAC certification on there and a little blurb about it because it definitely helps your SEO and ranking. So the other things is kind of just making sure that you're conversion focused with clear CTAs and the contact form is easy to navigate. So, making sure that at your top header, you have that button to click to call or, make a reservation. A lot of people split them out between new client reservations and existing, have that at the top on every page is very important because a lot of people, when they go to your website, maybe that's all they're looking for. They're already good. They already know you. You've nurtured them great. They just want to book. And if they can't find that easily, it's going to be more difficult for them to figure out booking. And then lastly is just making sure that your your tracking is set up correctly. This way, because your website will you know, help then optimize on other platforms. So, you have your Google Analytics 4. So your GA4 is set up properly. It has what you would consider your top conversions. So whether it's they hit the submit form for contacting, they click the button to call, those sort of things. Because when you start running paid ads and all of that, the platform uses that GA4 data and the Google Tag Manager data to actually optimize, on their end on how it serves to your audience that you selected. So here's kind of like a 30-day action plan I just wanted to lay out. I know it's a lot to kind of think about it, if you're not doing any of these or just a portion of these, but, kind of week one, kind of audit and build the foundation. So again, make sure that your tracking set up, like I was saying, pixels, that's from Meta, and then your Google tags and your analytics, create a content inventory so that you can schedule a bunch of posts. We recommend to a lot of clients, like if they're able to get a whole bunch of content together for their organic social, they can sit down the first of each month for an hour and schedule out content, scattered throughout the month. You can always put something add some things as they come along, but you already have a cadence going so you don't have to think about that and worry about every day or every week trying to figure out posting. Fix any website issues that you have, like I was saying, call to action, pricing, your contact form, just make sure that's all good, and then determine your marketing budget. So we recommend altogether your budget should be about 4 to 7% of your revenue. If you are new or if you're in a highly competitive area, you want to be on the higher end. If you've been around for, 20 years and stuff like that, you can be more on the lower end for budget wise. But again, it really comes down to the competition in your area. And then, as I was saying earlier, that 70/30 budget split. So week two, kind of launch and optimize. So you build out your targeting audiences on your paid ads, use, current top client demographics. A lot of these platforms allow you to upload your client list. They encrypt it. They're not stealing anything, I promise. But what they do is they will create a lookalike audience that looks just like that same person. that person would probably have, everybody has like a, client ID that links to them. So on Google, they'll understand like how that client has searched and stuff like that, and they'll find other people that do something similar. And then on Meta, again, same thing. As long as they have like a Facebook or an Instagram account, they can look at, what that person interacts with in pages, and again, pick people that look just like what you would consider your perfect client. And it's a great way to like build a very simple audience. Also, week two, start launching Meta and Google Ads, consistently posting on your organic social and engage with your audience. If you just post on there, but you never respond back to people or, like someone's, interaction, Meta notices that and it will deprioritize. They won't do that like, hey, here's some recommended recommendations on pages you should follow that you see when you go through. That's because those accounts are very active. Meta wants people to stay on the platform, and it wants business pages that want to interact with their customers because that is going to more likely keep people on the platform. And then just keep a pulse on your performance, check after 3 to 4 days and make any optimizations if you're noticing like a paid ad that you made is not resonating with people, turn it off and make a new one. This is kind of your testing phase. So week three, you kind of scale and refine. Again, continue to monitor performance, double down on what's working. Like I was saying, if you realize like, okay, it seems that video seems to be what everybody wants to engage with, which is the hardest content to create, and I understand that, but try your best to kind of make more of that content. And then, test out new creative and audiences if something's not working. In week four, you kind of analyze and plan ahead. So once you have can review a full month of performance, which that's what we recommend. 3 to 4 weeks is what you need to really get a pulse on how this is working. Review, key metrics like impressions, your click-through rate, your cost per lead, and bookings. That will then help you plan out what you're going to do over the next few months. I can say on Meta, a lot of their ads, like if you're doing paid ads, only need to be switched out every 2 to 3 months or, as seasonality, has it. But so you can just have them running and just monitor them. You don't have to constantly be changing out stuff or adding new things. We recommend to our clients running about, you know, 3 to 4 ads, and just have them run for a couple of months and then look at what's working and just on the next round as you trade those out, create things that are similar. But the biggest thing is fix anything that's broken. A lot of times when we do audits on people's websites, they didn't even realize that their form wasn't working or there was something weird with their phone number or the page loads slowly. Those are all revenue killers and, easy things that you can fix. So then we can kind of just dive right into just your channel strategy and best practices. So again, website, set clear CTA, pricing easy to find, making sure you have testimonials and reviews from, your pet parents. You can go right to your Google Business profile and just take, some reviews, your 5-star reviews from there, and then just add them as little blurb boxes onto your website. Or again, ask some of your pet parents that come in there that you see every day or every week and just ask them to, give you a little quote that you can add. And then again, on your website, having that educational content. Because sometimes, pet parents will be Googling like, again, like what do I do during the hot summer months? And it might bring them right to your website because you have a blog that talks about it or talks about, water features or talks about even we've seen great success of when there's dog and pet friendly events in the neighborhood, and you just write a simple blog about like this is what's upcoming. And so when people search for those events, they'll end up on your landing page, and then they realize you're a pet resort, and then that's part of the whole nurturing thing. And then just make sure everything's, optimized to SEO, especially with, how AI is scanning and recommending things. So next, social media, creating, meta ads, that brand awareness and trafficking campaigns, answering that why. Why should they choose you? So a lot of things that we see is just what we call happy dog faces. But we need to include more. We need to show them using different facility things, show them, take pictures of them, checking in. with their pet parent, and then interacting with your staff on, just showing like we have ones that they do story time. So I always love the pictures of all the dogs lined up as they're reading, Clifford the big red dog. So, and then of course, video's king. Again, as I was saying, it's kind of the hardest stuff to capture. Because it can be a little time consuming. It doesn't need to be perfect in any means. Just, some of your staff, if they're young and good with their phones, just ask them to take some video when they're out and about. And then so for the organic side, try to have a posting cadence of about 2 to 3 times a week and be as consistent as you can, because that's what it is the algorithm for these platforms reward consistency. So use keywords, in your copy. So, dog boarding, what city you are, all that kind of stuff. Um, Now, only 20% of your posts should include links. So again, these platforms want to keep people on the platform. That's how they make money, is keeping people there, keeping them interacting and that kind of stuff. So only 20% of your post should include a link that goes back to, a boarding page or anything like that. What you should mostly be doing is trying to educate people right there on the platform. So talking about your services right there, not linking back to your website. Well, again, only 20%, 80% just talk about the staff. Staff interviews are always great. Even those fun trend videos where it's like they act like the different dogs. Two of my dogs are beagles, so I always love the ones where the staff pretends to howl like a beagle, which my pet resort tells me all the time on how talkative my two are when they go there. So, again, then, Google, making sure your Google business profile is optimized, add seasonal photos and updates on that. Make sure your hours are correct. Just even the last few weeks, they're now talking about Google Business Profile being more of a social media platform because they want you to post and put pictures and all of that. Right now, they're saying like about once a week, but just make sure you have information on there and, someone can scroll through all the photos to see all the amazing things that you have at your facility. And then creating Google ads. The ones to start with are search and retargeting ads. Copy should always include services and unique features. The content should mimic what you have on your website. Reason is there's quality scores and stuff like that on Google Ads, and wants to make sure that the ad that it's sending to is actually like what they're talking about on the website. So that's why I was saying, like, don't always send them just to the homepage. If you're talking about boarding and, then send them to the boarding page. If you're talking about grooming, send them directly to the grooming page. Um, and then keep it simple. Start where you feel more comfortable. You don't have to do all of this at once. Test things out. I know right now it's summertime, it's the busy time of the year. So just keep this, in your back pocket and start thinking about doing it, when you get to the end, August, September, and start testing things out. User generated content that does better over polished. That's what I was saying. Just, pick up your phone, record what you can. And, it doesn't have to be super edited or perfectly posed or anything like that. So really consistency matters more than perfection. Post even when the content isn't perfect. So common mistakes that pet resorts make, and Bentley's giving his snarly face because he doesn't like these. So get ahead of these and scale. Again, running ads without tracking, conversion tracking, you won't be able to measure anything. You won't be able to see your results. So make sure you have tracking set up. Um, you know, Post on social inconsistency. The algorithms is not like that, so don't do it. Try to be as consistent as you possibly can. Again, ignoring the optimizations for mobile, 70% of traffic, comes through mobile. So if your site isn't optimized, you're losing people. Not following up fast enough. So, on Meta, you have like an Instagram or Facebook and Instagram, you have the Facebook Messenger. So responding to those, direct messages within, 5 minutes, speed's gonna win. I know that's not always the easiest thing to do, but the quicker you can follow up, the better. And yeah, just don't try. You don't have to be perfect before launching. Done is better than perfect. So get it out there, test it, and kind of analyze what happens from there. All right. So Q&A. Please ask me all the questions. I hope we have some.
We do.
Okay.
Um, Anyone that hasn't had a chance to put any questions in the chat box, please do that now, and I will start going from the top. Our first question is from our PAC chair, Jennifer VG Van Garderen. Can you please talk about what makes a strong brand awareness ad?
Yeah, a strong brand awareness ad would be the same thing you would say to someone that they would be calling the first time they want to know about your resort. So, what's all the things that you would want to tell somebody on the whys that they should be going there? So, how many years in business? Trusted provider for Fresno for the last 20 years. Those kind of keywords. Showing great imagery of puppies inter or dogs interacting with staff, playing in water features, laying in, in your kind of lounge, area if you have one of those, any story time, any of those things that would stop somebody and go, "Oh, that's what my dog would want." And everybody's pet's different, but perfect example is so when I moved to this area about 8 years ago, there is a pet resort right down the street from me. And so this will tell you about kind of your conversion. So I drove past it a couple of times and they had a big sign about there's this pet resort, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So then I went on and I looked at their social media, and the first thing that I saw, which sold me right then and there, is that they specifically have indoor outdoor kennels. So they have a pretty much a doggy door, and so your animals get their own, private space where they can be inside and outside. And with five dogs that kind of become a little bit of a pack when they're together, and I get nervous about doggy daycares, them having that designated space was huge for me because they could just kind of hang out and they still get that outside area and that indoor. That's what sold me. So it's those great features that answer the questions of why we should choose you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Um, I'm going to skip my question and come back if we have time. Next question. What is best practice for the quantity of social posts from a business?
Yeah, I mean, we always say quality over quantity. Do what you can. I know not everyone can post every day, and you shouldn't. I would say at least 2 to 3 posts a week is that like perfect sweet spot that you can, it's the easiest to maintain and be consistent about because that's really what it is consistency. Don't spend a week and post 7 days and then not post again for 2 weeks. So again, it's that consistency and what you can do. But the sweet spot would be 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah, that consistency part is the part I'm missing. Well, okay, great. Next question from our friend Francis. What is organic social?
Oh, organic social is what you would see on, a Facebook or an Instagram feed. So it's what the actual business is just posting, about it. There's no money behind it or anything like that. It's just you're organic. So if you use any of these platforms, it's what comes up as you're scrolling through, you'll see pictures of your friends, kids from college, and then maybe some pictures of pet resorts. So it's just what organically is being posted by the business with not any paid ads or any or paid money behind it. So you'll see the ones like they'll say sponsored, those ones are paid ads. When it doesn't say that, that is an organic post.
Great. How do we optimize our websites for mobile phones? Francis specifically uses Wix, but what are some ways we can optimize?
Yeah, there's actually areas in the website. I don't know Wix super well, but all websites have it. There'll be an area for you to be able to optimize. So what it will end up showing you is it will give you a view of your website, and then there should be like a toggle where it will show like what looks like a computer screen, and then maybe like what looks like an iPad, and then what looks like a phone. So you'll be able to click on that phone one and see how the layout goes, and you'll be able to see if like things aren't fitting properly. And there's different settings that you can just like, there's like a couple of different toggles, usually or checkboxes that say like adjust the page based on the screen size. My other advice would be either if you're chat GPT friendly, ask chat GPT to help you find it. But there are a lot of people, they usually know the Wix platform, WordPress, all of those that you can find to pay them usually a very small fee for them to go in there and optimize it for you.
I hate it, but I call ChatGPT my best assistant because it can teach me literally anything, anything. It's
Let me just tell
incredible.
you, I actually had a friend ask me who my friend Claude was because I talked about Claude so much
Yeah,
because it's my
yeah.
favorite, and they were like, "Who is Claude, and why haven't I met him?" And I was like, "Oh no, that's my." I explained like that's the chat GPT I use, and they're like, "Oh."
It's wild. Yeah,
Mhm.
that has been changing for our business. Okay, can we talk some about TikTok? I keep hearing we should be posting there, but I have no idea where to start.
Yeah, okay. So TikTok just in the last month or two released a local feature. So before TikTok was so just, worldwide, it was hard to post on there and get in front of the people that are local to you. Someone, in Nebraska would see something, but you're a pet resort in Florida. So now that it has this local feature, where you can mark like this is my location when you go to post and stuff like that, it's becoming more and more important. I can say I've gotten as close as like, so I'm in Austin and definitely they're not close enough for me, but I'm starting to see ones that are in the Austin area. They're still, 30 minutes from me, but they're getting closer and closer to me is what I'm realizing. So now posting on there, I mean, honestly, if you've scrolled through TikTok, you can see a lot of the posts that people are doing that comes up on your For You page, and then there's a local page now that you can click on, or it'll be all local content. It's just people making fun videos. So think of those like I was saying, like the humans impersonating a dog, or even just asking your staff what's your favorite thing about working here, or going through and doing those fun ones where, everybody's like, oh, this is, our dog Bo who comes here every week. Let's see who he'll walk away with, like, as his favorite, counselor there. So any of the kind of fun stuff, you can sprinkle in some education again, showing features of like we have this great water feature and stuff like that, but you don't want to be the whole platform or your whole page to be about sell, sell, sell. People will start interacting with your stuff when they think it's funny and exciting and it gets them to stop scrolling. They'll continue following you and they'll get fed more information and more details, once they've, start kind of liking and interacting with a lot of your posts. So, again, a lot of the stuff that I was talking about, videos for, kind of Facebook, Instagram, Meta, and all that, can be the same ones that you use on TikTok. If that is what your bandwidth has, reuse the content because that also builds that kind of brand voice where people will be like, oh, I've seen this before on a different platform. And it's like it's kind of building that trust on like this is what you guys do and this is how you perform. So again, you just pick up your phone or get one of your staff members to pick up your phone and just take some fun videos of, what's throughout the day. Even like simple, short, like quick tours of, the facility also helps also.
Great, thanks. This is a great question. We have a Facebook page as if we were a person from
Mm.
18 years that has 18 years of with lots of followers, and a business page that we do not use often. Do I need to convert to the business page benefits?
I would recommend it, yes, because there's a lot of things that you can do for a personal page. So like you can't advertise like if you want to do paid ads, it'd have to be from a business page, not a personal page. So you're definitely missing some things there. I would convert it. There is also if you go into just the Meta Business Suite, which all Facebook pages and stuff like that, you can just Google Meta Business Suite and it'll take you right there. And as long as you're logged in, it will pop up yours. There's a support button, and you can actually ask them to help maybe even merge the pages. So it might have you change your personal page to a business page, but then you can merge them together. I know you said your business page doesn't have a lot of followers, but you don't want to lose anybody. So there's ways to merge them together, but I would definitely work on getting that to a business page. It can be a little confusing. You'll have my information. You can always email me and ask questions. I've done it a million times, and there's always a hiccup. So I'm putting that out there that have a couple hours of your time while you're trying to figure that out.
That's cool to know that you can merge pages, though. I did not know that.
Mhm.
Very
Yep.
cool. This is a good question. Our software paw partner offers internal social for software members. What are your recommendations for best practices for this type of social media versus public social?
So, I don't know who asked this question. I have questions to your question.
This is
So is
Rashawn.
it, yeah, I was gonna say, so specifically, is it when you say it's internal to them, is it stuff that you link to your social page and you're just using that tool as a posting device? Because I know that, I don't know, Paul Partner specifically off the top of my head, but a lot of them it's just you're using it as a posting tool, and then it will you connect your page, and so then it posts on your page for you. So I'm wondering if that's what they're doing. Which if there's posting tools because it will help you schedule and stuff like that. We personally use like in our personal business we use Hootsuite. I know a lot of people have heard that. Sprout Social, and those are just kind of content calendar tools to be able to schedule things out. And I think that's what you're talking about. And yes, I would definitely utilize those because it makes it easy to schedule things versus going through the platform, which sometimes can be confusing trying to schedule things.
We use PetBiz CRM, and there's an
Yep.
internal scheduling function
Yep.
in there that then
Yeah.
pushes it to multiple channels.
hmm Yeah, exactly. It makes it easier. You can post, you take one post and you can post it across all your channels at
Yeah.
once. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. So there's the best practices. This is a good thing to do.
Yes, if you
Okay,
use it, if
cool.
it's there, use it, learn it for sure. Yeah, there's no benefits or anything doing it, on the actual platform like Facebook versus using these posting tools.
Fantastic. Okay, good to know. Next question is there a way to merge Google accounts that you know of as well?
Mhm. Google can be a little bit more confusing, because I know there's a couple of different things. Like it's if you bought a business and then you created your own Google Ads account, and it was like a different name at that point, it's harder to merge. Definitely reach out to support. There's a lot of paperwork that they'll have you provide, showing that you're the owner of both and that kind of stuff. There's like a 70% success rate on that. Google is very, very particular. So if everything's like matching for like business names and business owners and that, it's nice and easy. But if it's like the business is registered as a different name or was a different owner at some point, sometimes you can change some of these things to merge it together. But I would definitely reach out to support because if you start doing it on your own, it will sometimes block your account and then it's impossible to get that back. Yeah.
Yikes. Okay, cool. This is actually for me. I would assume that the 4 to 7% target budget for marketing includes the salary of the staff member managing our company's marketing. Is
That
that
is,
correct?
yeah. So that would be encompass everything that you have that has to do with marketing. It's not only
Okay.
digital. Yeah. So
Okay.
also think because like a lot of people have kind of hybrid staff members where it's
Mhm.
like they run the first desk and social media. So take that into account. How much time are they actually putting into that? But yes, it would include everything if you guys do any prints or, ads, like people still do ads in newspapers and stuff like that. Any of that would include everything, including your paid ad budget. And if you hired a management team that wasn't a staff member to help you with that, that would be the inclusive.
Okay, great. Do you have a target budget specifically for paid ads or your ad spend?
Yeah, I mean, I would say if you're just starting out and you really want to test it, a for a full funnel marketing budget, I would not go less than $1,000. So that would be end up being 300 towards Meta and then 700 towards Google. And that's just the ad budget. And then you have to think into who's going to be running it. If it's you, cool. But if you're paying somebody, kind of equate that into their management fees can run anywhere from a couple $100 up to thousands of dollars, depending on the agency you use and how complex you want to go into it. Not to preach, but I do have to say, there's a lot of digital marketing firms out there. Find one that understands pet resorts. We've had so many clients that have gone with other agencies that were a little bit cheaper than us, but then came back 6 months later and was like, they didn't know what they were doing. They could only get it to a certain, point. They don't understand our audience. We at Nehmedia spend a lot of time and do lots of reportings and case studies to understand the pet parent, the industry, and the constant changing. One of the biggest things that we had to take in consideration this year was gas prices and flights increasing. And because of that, we were trying to get ahead of, possible cancellations. We had a client who actually bumped into someone that had been going to her pet resort for years out in the wilderness, and they literally said, I think we're going to have to cancel for Memorial Day because we were going to drive somewhere. And now I think we're just going to stay home because of the price of gas. So we actually do industry reports for different areas throughout the country, monitoring weather, monitoring gas prices, monitoring everything that could possibly go wrong. Because if we're like, oh, this client had a drop in February, well, it snowed for, 2 weeks straight. No one was leaving their house anyway. Those are factors that we take into consideration. We did a lot of pivoting to staycations versus vacations, and how, hey, even if you're doing a staycation, you're gone for a day, still bring your dog for daycare because, they need their vacation time too. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Mine drives me crazy. Too long at home.
Mhm. So,
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jules, and New Media for all you for today and for all you do to support PAC. We're so thankful for everything you all do for us. You are a guru, and I'm so thankful.
yes.
Um, to our PAC mates, thank you so much for being here and supporting us today too. Jules has just put up the CEU code for the 1 hour of CE for today's presentation. So make sure to mark that down and add it to your app, to your tracking sheet for your CE for the year. And if you have any follow-up questions that you think of later, Jules, are you okay with us fielding those and sharing them with you and
Oh,
sending them back and forth?
of course. I
Great.
love answering questions all day. So please
Great.
send them over. We want to be able to help you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you everybody so much. This has been great. I have a full page of notes for my own business. So very much
Awesome.
appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you,
you, Jules.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Bye
Yes,
bye.
thank you
Thank you.
guys. Bye.